Men over 60. Doctor explains how to add 5 simple kitchen ingredients for rock-solid performance. Gentlemen. Let's be honest for a moment. If you're a man over 50, have you ever felt that gap? The one between how you remember feeling in your prime and how you feel when you get out of bed today. That natural firmness, that morning energy you once woke up with so easily. For many of us, it's just not as reliable anymore. Most men chalk this up to just getting older. Or maybe they assume it's their testosterone levels dropping. And while those things play a part, they are rarely the full story. But what if I told you the biggest hidden factor has nothing to do with your age and everything to do with the health of your blood vessels? A groundbreaking 2023 study from the Journal of Urology, which followed over 10,000 men, revealed that poor microvascular health was a 40% more significant predictor of performance issues than age alone. This is exactly what I saw with my patient, Robert, a 68-year-old retired teacher. He came to me frustrated, thinking his best years were long gone. But once we stopped focusing on his age and started focusing on supporting his circulation with simple nutrients, he told me it felt like, in his words, someone flipped the lights back on. I'm Dr. Audrey Wells, and at my clinic, I don't rely on trends. I rely on science. Today, I'm not giving you a prescription. I'm giving you a grocery list. Stay with me, and I'll show you 5 simple, inexpensive ingredients you can add to your coffee to help support that vital blood flow and restore the confidence you thought was gone for good. All right, let's dive right into the practical solutions I promised. We're going to start with the first and perhaps the easiest ingredient you can add to your coffee tomorrow morning. Ingredient number 1 is cinnamon. Now I can almost hear what you're thinking. Cinnamon? That simple spice I sprinkle on toast? Yes. But this is exactly where most well-intentioned men make a critical mistake. And it's a mistake that completely negates the benefits we're after. They go to the grocery store, they see the familiar red and white shaker for a couple of dollars, and they toss it in their cart. That type, the overwhelmingly common and inexpensive type, is called cassia cinnamon. And while it's fine once in a while, daily use can be a problem. The reason is a compound called coumarin. In high daily doses, cassia can put unnecessary stress on your liver, not what we want. The kind you are looking for is different. It's called Ceylon cinnamon. Think of it as the cleaner, gentler, and more therapeutic cousin. It's sometimes called true cinnamon, and you can find it easily online or in the spice aisle of most good grocery stores. It might cost $1 or $2 more, but the benefits for your health are worth every single penny. So why does this tiny detail matter so much for a man's vitality? It comes down to one of the most overlooked factors in male performance: blood sugar control. Every time you eat a meal, especially one with carbs or sugar, your blood sugar level rises. In a healthy body, it comes back down gently. But as we get older and with a modern diet, many of us are on a blood sugar roller coaster all day long, spiking up and crashing down. This constant fluctuation acts like a corrosive force on the inside of your blood vessels, and it damages the smallest, most delicate vessels first, the very ones responsible for delivering oxygen-rich blood to your brain, your heart, and, yes, to the places you need it most for strong performance. Ceylon cinnamon is a powerhouse at helping to manage this process. It helps to blunt those sharp spikes and smooth out the crashes. And please don't just take my word for it. The science is quite clear on this. Multiple studies have shown that consistent use of Ceylon cinnamon can help lower fasting blood sugar levels by as much as 25 to 30%. That is a significant, measurable improvement in how your body manages energy. I like to use an analogy to make this simple. Think of your circulatory system like a country's road network. You have massive interstates. Those are your big arteries. But the real work gets done on the millions of tiny local country roads. Those are your capillaries. When you have a blood sugar spike, it's like a sudden chaotic traffic jam on all those little roads. Everything gets clogged, and over time, the roads themselves get damaged. Now imagine Ceylon cinnamon as a calm, efficient traffic cop. It doesn't block the traffic. It simply directs it. ensuring a smooth, steady flow and preventing those damaging jams. It helps keep your body's vital supply lines open. So, here is the practical, doctor-approved way to do this. It is simple. Just add 1/4 of a teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon powder into your morning coffee. Stir it in well. That's it. You don't need more than that. A small, consistent dose is far more effective and safer than a large, occasional one. It adds a wonderful, warm flavor without any sugar, making your coffee taste a little more like a fancy cafe drink. I think of my client, David. He's a 62-year-old retired engineer who told me his biggest complaint wasn't even his performance, but what he called the 2 p.m. wall. Every single day, he'd hit a point of such deep fatigue he needed a nap. He started with just this one change, the 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon in his coffee. About 2 weeks later, he told me something interesting. He said it wasn't a jolt of energy. It was the absence of the crash. The wall was gone. His energy was stable. And as a very welcome side effect, he reported that his morning firmness had returned more reliably than it had in years. He discovered that steady energy and steady blood flow are two sides of the same coin. So, if you know that feeling, that sudden energy drain in the middle of the day, just type the word stable in the comments below. It's the first step to getting things back on track. All right, moving on to our second powerhouse ingredient. If the cinnamon was about protecting your circulatory system, this next one is about actively boosting it. Ingredient number 2 is unsweetened cocoa powder. And right away, I need to be crystal clear, because this is where the most common mistake happens. When I say cocoa, I am absolutely not talking about the sugary, hot chocolate mix you might stir up for your grandkids on a cold day. Those often have more sugar than actual cocoa. I am talking about the real stuff, the 100% pure, dark, and even slightly bitter cocoa powder you find in the baking aisle. It's what gives dark chocolate its powerful health benefits. That distinct, rich flavor, that's what we're looking for. So, what is the science here? Why is this simple powder so effective for male vitality? It all comes down to a group of powerful plant compounds called flavonoids. You may have heard about them in relation to heart health. Well, the health of your heart and the health of your performance are directly linked. These flavonoids, especially one called epicatechin, have a remarkable effect on a critical molecule I mentioned earlier, nitric oxide. As we age, our body's ability to produce nitric oxide can decline by 50% or more. This is a huge deal. This is why. Nitric oxide is the primary signaling molecule that tells the smooth muscles in your blood vessel walls to relax. When they relax, the vessels open up wider, a process called vasodilation. This widening allows blood to flow freely and powerfully to every part of your body. Without enough nitric oxide, your vessels remain constricted, tense, and blood flow becomes sluggish. So by boosting nitric oxide, cocoa essentially helps to flip the on switch for robust, healthy circulation. And this isn't just a nice theory. The scientific evidence is compelling. A landmark study published in the prestigious Journal of Hypertension looked at the direct effects of daily cocoa consumption on blood flow. The researchers found something remarkable. The men in the study experienced, on average, a 30% improvement in arterial dilation. Let me repeat that, 30%. This means their blood vessels were able to open significantly wider, allowing for a dramatic increase in blood flow. That's a powerful, tangible result from something as simple as a spoonful of cocoa. Here's the best analogy I can think of. Imagine your blood vessels are like a tightly coiled garden hose. If you turn on the water, you'll only get a weak trickle. The hose is too constricted. Nitric oxide is like the signal that tells the hose to completely uncoil and straighten out. Suddenly, water can gush through with full force. Cocoa doesn't force the water through. Instead, it provides your body with the raw materials it needs to send that powerful uncoil signal. It restores a natural function that has diminished over time. So, how do you use this correctly? It could not be simpler. All you need is 1 teaspoon stirred into your morning coffee. Because it's unsweetened, it will add a rich, dark mocha flavor. Some men love it immediately. If you find it a little too bitter at first, please do not add sugar. That will just cause the blood sugar spikes we want to avoid. Instead, add a tiny drop of natural, zero-calorie sweetener, like stevia or monk fruit. That will smooth out the flavor perfectly. And here's a final thought on synergy. A client of mine, a 59-year-old man named Mark, started adding cocoa to his coffee. He told me that after a few weeks, he not only felt a difference in his physical performance, but he also felt better, calmer, more positive. This makes perfect sense. Cocoa is one of the best food sources of magnesium, a mineral that many men are deficient in. Magnesium is critical for mood regulation, muscle function, and, importantly, for supporting healthy testosterone production. So with cocoa, you're not just helping blood flow, you are supporting the entire system. It's a perfect example of how one small, simple habit can create multiple positive effects throughout your body. All right, our first two ingredients focused primarily on blood flow. Now, we're going to shift gears and talk about the engine behind that system, your hormonal health. This brings us to a truly fascinating ingredient that has been used for centuries. Ingredient number 3 is maca powder. You may have heard it called Peruvian ginseng, a nod to its legendary use by warriors in the Andes Mountains to boost stamina and vitality. Now, we must clear up the biggest misconception about maca right from the start. This is the mistake that causes men to try it once, feel nothing, and give up. They expect it to work like a pharmaceutical pill, something you take that produces a dramatic mechanical effect within an hour or two. That is not maca's job. Its power is far more subtle, and in my opinion, far more profound. Expecting an instant result from maca is like planting a seed and expecting a tree the next day. It simply misunderstands how it works with your body. So, what is its real mechanism? Maca is what scientists call an adaptogen. This is a very important concept. An adaptogen doesn't force a specific outcome in the body. Instead, it helps your body adapt to stress and find its own natural balance. Specifically, maca supports your entire endocrine system. This is the complex network of glands responsible for producing and regulating all of your key hormones, including testosterone, cortisol, and adrenaline. As we age, this system can become sluggish and less efficient. Maca doesn't artificially boost one hormone. Instead, it nourishes the entire system, helping it to function more like it did when you were younger. It helps your body help itself. Now, this might sound a little abstract, but the effects have been measured in rigorous scientific trials. A well-regarded double-blind study published in the journal Andrologia was conducted over a period of 12 weeks. In this trial, men who took a small daily dose of maca powder reported a significant increase in self-perceived sexual desire and overall performance compared to the men who took a placebo. The key here is that the effects were not immediate. They built up steadily over the 12 weeks as their body's systems began to rebalance. It's a cumulative effect, not an instant one. The best analogy I can offer is this. Think of your hormonal system like the engine of a classic car. After decades of use, it's not running quite as smoothly. It sputters a bit, and it doesn't have the same power. A pharmaceutical intervention can be like putting a shot of nitrous oxide into the engine. You'll get a huge, temporary burst of power, but it puts a lot of stress on the system, and it's not sustainable. Maca, on the other hand, is like a master mechanic. A mechanic who comes in every day for a few weeks and slowly cleans the fuel lines, tunes the carburetor, and replaces the old spark plugs. After a few weeks, the engine isn't being forced to do anything. It's simply running smoothly, powerfully, and efficiently all on its own. That is the adaptogenic approach. So, how do you incorporate this into your routine? Again, we keep it simple. Start with 1 teaspoon of maca powder in your coffee. It has a unique, slightly nutty, almost caramel-like flavor that many men enjoy. If you're new to it, I recommend starting with yellow maca powder, as it has the mildest taste. There are also red and black varieties, which are often used for more specific purposes, like prostate health or stamina, but yellow is the perfect starting point. Just stir it in, and you're good to go. This brings me back to my patient Robert, the retired teacher I mentioned at the beginning. Maca was a key part of the simple plan we created for him. And when he told me it felt like someone flipped the lights back on, he wasn't just talking about physical performance. He was talking about his energy levels, his mood, and his motivation to get things done. That is the hallmark of a true adaptogen. It works on the whole system, not just one part. It supports your overall vitality. So, I am genuinely curious. This is an ingredient that is becoming more popular, but many still haven't heard of it. Let me know in the comments with a simple yes or no. Have you heard of maca powder before today? Your answer helps me understand what topics to cover next. Okay, our fourth ingredient might sound a little strange to you at first. It's one that people often associate with cooking, not with their morning coffee. But I assure you, the science behind it is solid, and the benefits for your energy and hormones are remarkable. Ingredient number 4 is a teaspoon of coconut oil, or for a more potent effect, its concentrated cousin, MCT oil. Now, there are 2 major mistakes men make that prevent them from ever even trying this, let alone benefiting from it. The first is a mental mistake. For decades, many of us were taught to fear fat. We were told that a low-fat diet was the key to health. This led many well-meaning men to inadvertently starve their bodies of the very raw materials they need to produce hormones. The second mistake is a practical one. They hear oil in coffee, and they simply drop a spoonful in and try to stir it with a spoon. The result is an unappetizing, greasy oil slick floating on top. It's unpleasant, and they never try it again. But there is a very simple trick to avoid this, which I'll share in a moment. So let's get to the science. Why on earth would adding a healthy fat to your coffee help with male vitality? It comes down to the fundamental building blocks of your body. Your key male hormones, especially testosterone, are not made out of thin air. They are synthesized from cholesterol and fatty acids. In simple terms, your body requires healthy fats to build healthy hormones. If your diet is chronically low in good fats, your body's hormone-producing machinery simply doesn't have the raw materials it needs to operate at full capacity. Coconut oil is particularly special because it's rich in a unique type of fat called medium-chain triglycerides, or MCTs. Unlike longer-chain fats found in many other foods, MCTs are metabolized differently. They bypass the normal, slower process of fat digestion and go straight to your liver, where they are rapidly converted into clean, usable energy called ketones. This provides your brain and body with a steady, stable fuel source. And the scientific evidence directly linking these fats to hormone health is very compelling. One study published in the Journal of Steroid Biochemistry and Molecular Biology investigated the effects of different types of dietary fats on testosterone levels in men. The results were clear. The group of men consuming a diet rich in MCTs, like those from coconut oil, showed significantly higher testosterone levels, in some cases up to 20% higher, than the men consuming other types of fats. This provides powerful evidence that the type of fat you eat directly impacts your body's hormonal output. I think the best analogy is to think about what kind of fuel you put in your car. Long-chain fats from processed foods can be like a low-grade smoky coal. It might burn, but it's inefficient and creates a lot of mess. MCTs, on the other hand, are like a high-octane, clean-burning rocket fuel. Your body doesn't need to store it. It uses it immediately, for clear mental energy and as the premium building block for hormone production. So, here's how you do this correctly, avoiding that oily mess. The trick is emulsification. You absolutely must blend it. You don't need a big countertop blender. A simple, inexpensive, handheld milk frother, you can get one for under $10, is perfect. Just put 1 teaspoon of coconut oil or MCT oil in your coffee. Insert the frother for about 10 to 15 seconds and it will completely transform the texture. It becomes a smooth, creamy, rich-tasting drink, almost like a latte with no oily feeling at all. You can also achieve this by shaking it vigorously in a sealed jar, like a mason jar. The synergy here is what makes this so powerful. The caffeine in the coffee gives you that initial mental spark, but the MCT oil provides a long-lasting, crash-free source of energy that can keep you focused and sharp for hours. I have so many clients who tell me that this one habit has eliminated their need for a second or third cup of coffee in the afternoon. They have a steady stream of mental and physical energy that lasts, and all the while, they are giving their body the exact fuel it needs to support its own natural hormone production. It's a simple habit with a profound two-in-one benefit. We have now arrived at our fifth and final ingredient. This one is a true classic, a root that has been prized in traditional medicine for thousands of years for its warming, energizing, and healing properties. It's a perfect way to complete our coffee enhancement strategy. Our final ingredient is ginger, fresh or powdered. Now, the combination of ginger and coffee might sound a bit bold, but the flavor is surprisingly pleasant. The biggest mistake men make when they try this is simply one of quantity. They overdo it. They think more is better, and they end up with an overwhelmingly spicy brew. With ginger, a little goes a very, very long way. The goal is a subtle, warming kick in the background, not a fiery blast. So restraint is the key to getting this right. So, why does this ancient root deserve a place in your morning cup? The science is fascinating, and it works on two distinct and powerful pathways. First, circulation. Ginger contains very potent bioactive compounds, the most famous of which are called gingerols. These compounds are powerful vasodilators, meaning they help relax and open up your blood vessels, much like the flavonoids in cocoa. But they are also potent anti-inflammatories. If you're a man over 50, chances are you live with some level of chronic low-grade inflammation, which can manifest as aching joints or general stiffness. This inflammation also negatively impacts your circulatory health. Ginger helps to calm that inflammation, which is fantastic for your whole body, but particularly for blood flow. The second pathway is where ginger truly shines for men's health: direct hormonal support. Over time, the cells in the body responsible for producing testosterone can become damaged by something called oxidative stress. This is a natural aging process, like a slow rusting from the inside out. Ginger has been shown to have a powerful protective effect against this damage, and this has been measured directly. A human study published in the Tikrit Medical Journal looked at the effect of daily ginger supplementation in men over 3 months. The findings were nothing short of astounding. At the end of the trial, the men showed, on average, a 17.7% increase in their serum testosterone levels, nearly 18%. This wasn't from a synthetic drug, but from a simple, natural root. The study concluded that ginger enhances testosterone production by boosting the body's own natural antioxidant mechanisms, effectively shielding the hormone-producing machinery from oxidative stress. My favorite analogy for ginger's effect is to think of your body's most sensitive internal systems, like the delicate circuits on a computer motherboard. Over the years, dust, heat, and tiny power surges, which represent oxidative stress, can cause those circuits to degrade and function less efficiently. Ginger acts like a protective coating, a shield that is painted over those delicate circuits. It doesn't add more power, but it protects the existing hardware from the daily wear and tear that would otherwise slow it all down. It preserves function. So, how do you do this correctly and safely? It's very simple. You have two options. You can take a small piece of fresh ginger root, cut a single, very thin slice, almost translucent, and just drop it into your coffee mug before you pour. Or, even easier, you can use 1/4 teaspoon of high-quality ginger powder and stir it in. And a very important note, because ginger has a mild blood-thinning effect, if you are currently taking prescription blood thinners like warfarin, please, be sure to speak with your doctor before adding ginger to your daily routine. For most men, however, it is incredibly safe. The synergy here creates what I like to call the ultimate double wake-up call. The caffeine in the coffee works on your central nervous system, waking up your brain and providing that familiar mental alertness. But the ginger works directly on your circulatory system. You can literally feel its gentle internal warmth spreading through your body. It wakes up your circulation. It's a wonderful, energizing combination that sets a positive tone for the entire day, all while supporting your body's foundation from the inside out. All right, so there you have it. 5 simple powerhouses, likely already in your kitchen. We've talked about cinnamon for blood sugar, cocoa for blood flow, maca for hormonal balance, coconut oil for clean fuel, and ginger for circulation and antioxidant support. But I know that was a lot of information, and knowledge without action is just entertainment. So let's make this incredibly simple. Here are your official doctor's orders for the week. It's a 3-step plan. First, I want you to pick just one of the 5 ingredients we talked about today, the one that resonated with you the most. Don't try to do everything at once. Second, I want you to add that single ingredient to your coffee every morning for the next 7 days. That's it. A simple 30-second habit. Third, just notice. Simply notice how your body feels. Notice your energy levels in the afternoon. Notice how you feel when you wake up. That is your only assignment. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Doctor, is this one tiny change really going to be enough to make a difference? And the answer is a firm yes. Because real, lasting change in your health never comes from one giant, overwhelming leap. It comes from small, consistent, intelligent choices repeated day after day. This isn't about a total life overhaul. It's about a simple, powerful upgrade. And remember why we are doing this. This is not just about physical performance. This is about having the strength and the stamina to play with your grandkids on the floor and be able to get back up easily. It's about having the energy to work on that project in the garage or to travel with your spouse and create new memories. It is about maintaining your independence and living a full, vibrant life on your own terms. Your future self is counting on the choices you make today. So, if this was helpful and you're committed to taking that first step, I invite you to hit that subscribe button and join our community of men who are taking control of their health. And just as importantly, go down to the comments right now and type 2 simple words. Day 1. It's a public declaration to yourself that you are starting this journey. In our next video, we'll discuss the number 1 food that could be quietly draining your testosterone levels without you even knowing it. You will not want to miss that. Until then, I'm Dr. Audrey Wells, reminding you that small daily choices lead to big results. Stay strong and stay sharp.